Okay, I think we're live. Let's go ahead and just kind of put on some background music. Domain free, of course. Let's see. And we'll go ahead and get started. And I will start explaining what it is that I'm doing. So I've got some just royalty-free synthwave playing. I hope that's okay. And you know what? Just to be safe, I am going to lower the desktop audio even more because I don't want this to drown out anything. So, as of now, nobody's watching, of course. This is just something I'm doing impromptu, and I haven't, done anything yet. Let me just see. Okay, I think that's good enough. I was just checking on the connection. So, I've got my chat window open here. Let's see. Can I do a pop-out chat? You know, I don't think I'm gonna do that. This is YouTube, so if anyone wants to just send me a chat, I can view it on my, I can just view it in the browser to the left. So basically what my setup is I've got OBS and YouTube on this monitor, and I've got my primary monitor right here. So I'm just kind of warming up a little bit, just kind of talking. Let's see. I wonder if, like, I don't stream very much at all, so, let's see. I don't know if OBS has, like a thing to view chat. But we'll see who wants to show up. Alright. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started for, let's see. It says that, my stream health is less than desirable. So, you know what? Since nobody's here, I may take a brief moment to try and get that better. So, recommending a stream bitrate of 6800 kilobits per second, and I'm at like 2600. That's pretty low. I don't know if there's anything I could do about that, though. Oh, here we go. Video bitrate. Let's see what this does. So, video bitrate is... recommend using a stream bitrate of 6800. So I'm gonna try and see how that works. Paste. Apply. Okay. Well, hopefully that that fixes it. So anyway. Alright, well, we're just gonna go ahead and get started. So, for those that are watching, as of now, you're probably watching this on a recording of the stream, which is totally fine. But, as you may be able to tell from the title of the stream, I am going to be making a tool that can convert Visual Studio project files to bat files. I don't know how far I'm gonna get, but we will see how far we can get. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the whiteboard up. I'm calling this tool VCBat. So the so VC standing for Visual C, and bat meaning just two batch scripts. So let's just start with a brief overview of like what's going on. So I've got a bit of an odd setup where it's like I've got a monitor right in front of me that has all of my OBS stuff on it, but the when I write on it, the like this monitor right here is like my everything monitor that everything's happening on. But it also doubles as a Wacom tablet, so I can write over here, but I'm using OneNote because Microsoft Whiteboard is ass. They had something like Microsoft has not had a good idea for a very long time. They just in general, they're the software that they make. It's like I want a simple version of OneNote where it's just like a simple thing that allows me to draw. I don't need all of the other features that come with OneNote. I just want a whiteboard, and it's always connected to like OneDrive or the cloud or something. It is dog shit slow, and I don't know why there's an option to just not turn that off. And I tried using it for a couple of videos. I was successful at it, but it was just absolutely terrible. So we're just going to be using OneNote and hope our experience is a little better. I do like that. Like I've been using OneNote for a very long time, but it's a bit cumbersome. The UI is a bit cumbersome to like navigate and find stuff on the fly if you don't know what you're looking for. So I kind of avoided putting it in videos. So we'll see how it works. So anyway, so let's talk about Visual Studio. Already off to a bad start. I'm an engineer. I can't English. And we're already running into problems. Let's see. I'm just going to do it like this. So, okay. Visual Studio project files. So, if you've ever coded in Visual Studio, when you hit File New Project, there's actually there's two different like things that are going on in terms of like how a project is organized in Visual Studio. So basically, you have like the root of your directory structure in terms of like, I guess the project that you're working with, the root of it is called a solution. And it usually has a .sln extension. And so beneath that are all of your projects. And so when you hit File New Project in Visual Studio, and we're going to go through this in a moment, you are presented with a screen that's like, what kind of project do you want to make, right? So there's all kinds of stuff. Please excuse me. It's been a long week. And I just wanted a break from the monotony and try something else. So there's all kinds of projects. And so these can range from like C# to like, .NET Framework, to .NET Core. And I just do want to say like these imply that C Sharp is going to be a part of like framework.NET Core, and there's all kinds of versions and stuff, but there's other stuff that you can do as well. You can download like the Python extension, uh, and you could also do basically MSVC, which is the C++ toolchain that you can use. So there's all different kinds of projects, and they have different extensions to them that would differentiate between what is this project and another. So it's a fairly straightforward organization structure. I don't really have anything against it. So like a solution would be like, let's say if you have a software suite, right? So we're just going to say, we're going to go down a little bit. And so solution would be like some type of framework, right? So like if I'm at a company and I have a big Wumbo project that I'm working on, but that project itself has like sub projects. There may be a database file, there could be the web interface, there could be the back end project, there could be some other like developer tools, and so we can start making a basically some examples that I would just mention. Or like framework / big application stack. Right? So, and you, so like if this was Twitter, a solution would literally just be like Twitter or YouTube, or even in Visual Studio at Microsoft, there is probably like Visual Studio 2019.solution file, that all the other sub projects are linked to it. And the projects, like I said, could include like a database, web interface, a backend / service layer. And usually the service layer is what sits in between like the web interface and the database. So this would basically be sitting in between. So you've got users that are using your application, and it could even be a desktop application. It is going to be reconciling itself and transactions that the user is wanting to either read or update or whatever, and sending it to some type of service layer, in which case that will actually call the database. So it would be something akin to that. That's not all. That's just a typical example of a type of big enterprise type project. So, and this just kind of goes etc. It just goes on and on and on, Well, what we're going to be talking about specifically is MSVC projects. Right? So this is what we are going to be working on. And so the extension to that could be something like VC proj, VCX proj. There's several different extensions that Microsoft Visual Studio uses to say this is one type of Visual Studio C++ project or another. But this is our target, because not that this can't be updated for .NET Core or something, but .NET Core already has stuff like this. They have greatly simplified the build process, and to where you could easily edit project files in Visual Studio Code and just call like .NET build and it'll do it for you. Well, I don't know why, but Microsoft is basically trying to phase out C and C++ because they're quote unquote obsolete. They have .NET Core, which they believe is like the future of software development, or at least it used to be. Now it's like AI and generative models are now the future of AI and game dev and stuff, and I think that's bullshit. So they have really been letting their C++ tools get quite long in the tooth, and every time they try to update them, they just get worse. Visual Studio has been a ubiquitous platform for a very long time, and it is high time that something was done to basically migrate Visual Studio projects away from Visual Studio so that you could easily build them somewhere else. Like if you wanted to use Vim or Emacs or in our case VS Code. I made a stream a while back about switching to NeoVim. I'd still like to be doing that, but it's like, dude, the learning curve is just so steep in VS Code. While it's a clusterfuck of really confusing decisions as to why they did certain things with it, it's still a fairly easy and flexible platform to at least code on. I still would not debug in VS Code, but the build and run tasks and the configurations and setup, it's very easy to configure and very straightforward to use. So for the time being, I'm going to be using it. So, anyway, I'm just going to take a quick break and see if anyone is in the chat. No, that is totally fine. Let's see. Excellent connection, stream health. We are doing just fine. Alright. So, I don't have anyone to pop in and tell me how things are going, so, I'm just kind of having to check it every now and then. So, what does the inside of one of these project files look like? Well, it is somewhat proprietary, this extension, but these are just simple XML. These are XML files, basically. They follow the structure of... hang on a second, I gotta find somewhere else to put my water before I make a mess. So basically, they just follow the structure of, like, tag and property equals some value, and then, like, another value, and then basically the closing tag, right? Something akin to that. They are very easy to read and understand, and Microsoft doing this was a very good thing, because sometimes these files here, they can become corrupted. Like, you can accidentally introduce something, or Visual Studio tries to be cute about updating settings, and those can be corrupted. And then it loses the ability to understand what the fuck it's even looking at. So, Visual Studio, these project files, just being simple XML, if for whatever reason they become unparsable by Visual Studio, you can actually go in and see what's wrong with them. And even Visual Studio could send you an error message when trying to load it that's like, hey, something is wrong, we can try to fix it, or whatever. So, with that, let me go ahead and, I don't know what this thing is here. I have no idea what that is. I'm gonna see if I can close it. I do not want that notification. I don't want that at all. I don't know why the fuck that's right there. But, you know what we're gonna do? We are just basically gonna unlock the taskbar and let it hide. Because that is a little embarrassing, and I don't know why that is showing up. But, you know, this is Windows for you. Can we hide it? Automatically hide in desktop mode. Yes. Okay, now we can lock it again. But this is what we gotta do, because, like, I have notifications on my taskbar that I don't want. And now this is what we gotta work on, because this is just dumb. There we go. Okay. It went away. Anyway. So, I'm gonna go ahead and bring this back up. Hello! My man, Hugh State, is in the chat. So basically, I kind of went over this in the chat. So, basically, the design of this is like, we've got a Visual Studio solution and a project file that we're just basically converting into batch scripts. So, and I'll show you, like, why exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and launch Visual Studio. And I don't know if you caught that, but, like, this is Visual Studio 2019. I'm sure that there is, like, I know, like, I work with Visual Studio 2022 at my day job, so it's they may have had some improvements in it, but this program is absolute dog shit. So what we're gonna do is we are just gonna create a new, not a new repository. That was me. I accidentally clicked that. So we're gonna create a new project. Go away. Stop it. So what we're gonna do is we are going to launch a new project, and it's just going to be an empty C++ project. So project 1, and oh, I should do this first, because I knew what type of I knew what the project name I wanted it to be. So this is going to be called VCBat. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into source repos. We're going to make a directory called VCBat, and we're going to initialize it as a Git repository. Right? There we go. And I will be committing that to my personal repository off screen, but this will be open source. I doubt it's going to be finished tonight. I highly doubt it, but, you know, we'll see. So anyway, what we're going to do is we are going to just put it in the root of that. Let's see, VCBat. We're going to put it there, and we're going to call it VC test, right? Okay. And so what we're going to do is create a very simple C++ test, where it's just called VC test main, and it's going to be, we're going to basically include Windows. And I can never remember the like off the top of my head what the main entry point is for a Windows project. I have to use the MSDN all the time. So if you have to Google stuff, don't be ashamed. So what we're gonna do is Win32 main. Let's see. This is what it is. So we copy this, and I don't know if this will build, because we need to link user32 library. So basically, that's what that is, and what we're going to do is just a simple return 0. That's all we need to do. This doesn't need to be extremely intuitive. We are literally doing... We only care about the settings, right? So, let's see... Let's see if this even builds. No, it does not. So, that's kind of what I thought. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Properties, and in our linker... So the linker is the thing that, if you have other compiled binaries, which would be like DLL and lib files, well, specifically .lib files. What a .lib file is it tells you what are the things that are exposed inside of a DLL. DLL meaning dynamic linked library. So, if you're at all have worked with like installing stuff or just kind of rooting around in Windows like program files, you've probably seen a DLL or a .lib. DLL is the compiled binary that doesn't have a executable in it. It may have some type of DLL main function, but it just has a series of functions that are exposed that it expects another application to call. And how you link a one program like your executable to a DLL is you can do two things. One, you can just tell your program, read this DLL file, and I'm going to manually like load into memory the functions that it exposes. Or if it's compiled with a .lib file, which tells your program exactly how it exposes certain things, you can just say to the compiler, hey, at compile time, I want you to load this DLL. I don't want to load it during program execution. I want you to load it during compile time. And then you can just bring in the header files that explain what the API functions are, and you can call them that way. That's what we're going to be doing. So, luckily, the linker, like, what we do for this is, well, you know what? It already has kernel user 32 linked, so I don't even know why it's having trouble. So, unresolved external symbol, main. We are already having problems. And it's like, this is why I hate this program so much. I really, really hate it. Let's see. You know what? We're gonna make this a 64-bit application. And you can kind of see how I'm, like, everything I do just brings up the spinning icon, right? So, you know what? We actually don't need to compile this. Instead, what we can do is just look at the project, because that was the whole intent, right? So we're kind of falling down a rabbit hole that we don't need to be falling down. So, anyway. So what I said was, like, if we go back to the whiteboard really quick, so we have a .solution file, and then we have our actual project file. So what we can do is we can just take a look at that inside of our directory structure. We'll go to VCBat. So we go to VC test. And so there we see our vctest.solution. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and launch VS Code to start taking a look at what exactly it is that we're dealing with here. So the solution is not XML. It's some other proprietary, like, I guess, language or format that Microsoft has. But if we go into the project directory, we'll see .vxproj, and look, this is what we're going to be dealing with right here. This is the project that is telling the compiler exactly what to do when we hit build. And the thing that I want to point out is look at how many nodes are in this file. I have one source file that I'm trying to compile, and I just want to link with the I want to link with the user32 library, which is the Windows API, basically. So that's all that I want to do, and it says this is all necessary. I don't know if there's like a minimal mode where you can just say, Visual Studio, please, for the love of God, do not generate all these settings. It is not necessary. All I want is for you to take in my source file, which is, let's see, right there. Like, this is what I want. I want you to take in, my main, and then I want you to link against user32. It's not even in here. Like, I don't know why it's not in there, but it should be. And so you can kind of see where this is frustrating, because, why were you modified? I don't know. But we're already, it's extremely infuriating when it doesn't know what you want to do. Where it's like, okay, just link with the damn, user32 library that is, built into my Windows SDK, and that should be it. And I don't know why it can't do it. Let's see, Win32. Debug, release, config manager. Platform is Win32, okay? Does that help? No, it's still having a problem. Well, I was hoping that this would be a little bit easier to deal with, but apparently it's not. Let's see, linked, and see, decal spec, unresolved external symbol, main reference, and function. So let's just go ahead and Google this, and we can see what's wrong. Because honestly, this is not how I code. But sometimes I have to interface with Visual Studio to work with, legacy monolithic code bases, So, subsystem should be Windows. Linker system subsystem should be Windows. Let's try that. Properties. System, subsystem, console. No, it is not a console. It is a Windows application, okay? That's oh, nice, we did it. Okay, so if I hit a breakpoint here, and I just hit launch. Okay, so we've hit our breakpoint. And so we can actually start, if we jump into our call stack, let's see. We should be able to start breaking down. I don't know if I can. Yeah, it's not loaded. But that's okay. But basically, we'd be jumping into, whatever the Windows API exposes that's hey, here's what Windows method actually allowed you to um, call this program. But this is what we wanted, okay? That's exactly what we wanted. So let's go ahead and look inside of our directory structure again. So inside VS Code, what it did was it created a PDB, which is a program. It is a program database file, and what that is, or program debug, program database, program debug. I can't remember the actual, but what it is it's something that allows you to. It's an intermediary between source code and a binary, right? So when you are debugging code, your debugger is going to be looking for this file so it is able to reconcile the human readable text and the assembly that is behind the exe, right? So that's basically how you're able to debug stuff. So whatever settings that produced that, let's see. We still don't have a user 32 link, and I'm confused as to why. Because that's going to be kind of important. But what we could do is just go ahead and start with creating our main function and our actual program that we're going to be using to debug shit. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and close VS Code, and right now, this is exactly how we want it. We don't need Visual Studio right now, so we're going to close it. And what we're going to do is start creating our project. Right? Here we go. We are starting from scratch. I should have the compiler already built in, and I'm going to be borrowing a lot from some of my code bases, so to kind of get the ball rolling. So let's go ahead and code. All right. VC test, and so what this is going to be is we're going to have source and let's see, scripts and bin for our output, and we're just going to do a simple main function. Oh shit, I accidentally made files, not directories. I do that all the time. Let's see. No, I don't want to put it there. I want to put it here. So new folder, bin, and let's see. So we have bin, we have scripts. We're just going to create a simple main function. I think it'll be fine to just put it on the same. VCBat main c, and we'll go ahead and say include Windows, and it's basically going to be the same as this other one up here. For VC test, I'm just gonna bring it straight in. You're also gonna see why I prefer to do things this way versus how Visual Studio does it. Okay, so we're just gonna include, oops, accidentally overwrote. Okay, and so this is our simple thing. I also like to create a like a debug folder so I can put all of my stuff for like that I use for debugging. So I'm going to be using a tool called Remedy. tonight to debug, and it's a pretty simple tool. It's really fast compared to Visual Studio. It's not as pretty looking, as in it doesn't. There's a little bit less customization, a lot less customization actually, but it's just a really simple debugger, and I find it a lot more intuitive and easier to use than Visual Studio. So we've got that, and then what we need to do is we are going to create a VS Code workspace. And so what this is just a simple, like, this would be equivalent to the solution file. And what we're going to do is just say workspace, preferences, open workspace settings, let's see, file, workspace, save. Yeah, save workspace as, there we go. And you can kind of see how I was saying about how VS Code has sensible workspace settings, or sensible like commands. Like I can just like start typing C++, and or if I bring up the command palette, just type CPP or C++. Like you can start seeing like all of this stuff that we have at our disposal. While VS Code's not perfect, and I wish I could kind of make the time to get off of it, I just lose so much productivity when I take the time to try and learn something else. Because it just takes time, and time is just so valuable right now. So we're going to create a couple more things. We're going to create a, let's see, a C++ configuration. And it already understands immediately that this is a MSVC project. And so we will create some... first, let's create our build scripts. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but we'll just have a build win32 dot. And so I'm just going to straight up borrow from one of my other code bases. So let's see, source repos Possum, and let's see, I think I have scripts. Let's just code. And so Possum is a it is a library that I've been working on that just has a bunch of easy to use functions in it. So it's not a game engine. It is a place where I put a lot of my reusable code in that can be helpful for game engine developers. So I am not going to, you know what, we're just going to keep things really simple right now. We're also going to include dependencies. So in case there's anything we need to like check out of source, like on GitHub or something, we're going to be putting it in dependencies. Dependencies source include, let's see, source, and it's just going to be like that, right? So we don't need any of that. There's other compile flags that I have. We're going to be putting this in, it's literally just going to be VCBat.exe. That's it. That's all we're doing. And it's going to be, let's see, we want to say VCBat main as our point of entry. And it's actually, I like to do things this way. VCBat, and it's going to be Win32 main, because you never know when someone may want to build a version of this for Mac OS or for Linux or something. So I try to do a convention where if someone wants to take this and make another platform layer for it, they can. And it's just it would just be like VCBat Linux main.cpp or something. So the PDB file is going to be just VCBat. You know what? I'm just gonna leave those off for now. You know, VCBat. Okay, we're just gonna leave that out, and because that can be kind of confusing, it's not necessary. I'm just gonna basically compile with the most simplest settings possible. Let's see. And user 32.lib is the that is what is it brings in all the Windows API stuff. So now what we can do is we can actually configure a build task. Let's see, and task.json file from template, and it's just gonna be a simple way to actually call this bat file from VS Code. And so again, I'm just gonna steal that from Possum VS Code. Let's go in here and we'll just say code that way, and I'm just gonna steal it because there's no point in doing something twice if you can avoid it. So tasks, I'm just gonna leave that up. Let's see, can I paste it like that? Yep, and it'll just be let's see, build Win32 VCBat, right? And it'll be scripts build Win32, and it doesn't depend on anything. We're not passing any arguments. The current working directory is our workspace, and our MS compiler is like the MSVC environment. It's going to be the thing that will basically look at the output of the terminal and match it to lines of code in our like our source file, so it can help us point where things are happening. So that should be it. So I should just be able to call that. Cannot open it. Why not? Let's go ahead and take a look at our bat file and see why. cl.exe dependencies source. I told it to include source. VCBat went. Oh, because I actually didn't rename it. Win32 main.cpp, and we should be putting it in .bin. So let's see what happens. VCBat Win32 main.cpp. I'm staring it right in the face. VCBat Win32 main.cpp. Can't open it. So yeah, maybe it just, we're just gonna say source. We're gonna be explicit, and go like that. There we go. Yep. And so if we go in our bin directory, we just see our VCBat.exe, but we also need our PDB file. So, which I guess is something that was needed. So, you know what? I'm just going to close this and navigate back up to Possum and just code out of there. Good old Agua. And I'm just going to bring up the .build any example. It doesn't matter which one. And what I need is the PDB. So right there. bat.exe, and so basically these slash like FE or FD, like these are command arguments. So these are arguments that are passed in to the compiler to tell it like how, like what are the things that I need to know, like what do you want the binary name to be, where do you want it to be put, where do you want the PDB file to be stored, stuff like that. So I'm just gonna say this, and I think that should be it. And if we go into there, it's still not there. Why not? Let's see. It created a .obj file, which I did not ask it to do. Is there a .pdb? Well, this is embarrassing. This always happens when setting up new projects. I should have just copied the entire build line. So I think there's like debug full or something like that. Hang on. Like if I say cl.exe debug full, like does that do anything? Generate the debug info. Yeah, program database file. Yep, that's kind of what I thought it was. Let's see. We'll just say debug full, and that should take care of it. Let's see, bin.exe. No, we're back in Possum, so we need to go back here and say back. And we're just gonna say debug full. Is that the right syntax for that? Yes, that is. Okay, so what happens when I do that? This is aggravating. I'm aggravated. I'm doing an aggravate. I swear this works, y'all. I swear it works. Well, it works until you want to show something, right? So, and like I said, this is always the drudge work when you're setting up a new project. So, I'm just going to bring back the compiler switches that I was like, why did I put that in there? Because one time I had this figured out and I decided, fuck it, we're gonna start removing shit that I thought wasn't important, but at some point I was like, you know, hey, this was necessary in order to do this. So, yeah, my neck has been bothering me a little bit today. I may just need to lean back a little bit. Make sure I'm still on camera and you can see my beautiful face. I normally don't talk this much. How you doing, Hugh Sake? You doing all right? I got like a little bit of a latency here, so let's see. Dependencies, source examples, math. You know. So I've got fe bin, and then this is what I need right here. Stop it. So with our two math sample, like, just give me everything on this line right here. This is what I want right there. .fd, and then that's the let's see, it's /fd, and then that's the VCBat. No, bin VCBat .pdb. And then I had some other nonsense in here. I don't know why I need the object file, but let's see. Can you give me the bat or the PDB file, please? Yep, there it is. That's what I need. I don't know what this .ilk file is. And this is one reason I'm doing this, is like, I don't want to have to manually retype the script every time. Like, I do want to have like sensible settings where it's like, it just generates the script for you and it caches. It's like, this bat script is essentially what I'm thinking of it as like a cache of settings, right? So we're about to run our program, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this remedy debug session to repos uh, VCBat debug, and it'll literally just be VCBat debug. Right? And so now we can say I want to open this, like the one source file that we had, this one, and then I want to point it to the binary that we just compiled, and if all goes well, we should be able to hit a breakpoint. Bam. So that took a minute, but what we have is we have two programs that were compiled separately that are basically the same thing. They're not 100% the same because there's different like compile flags, and you saw that there were different DLLs and stuff that were produced, but there's some things that I want to point out, okay? So here's what I want to do. I want to do a little contrast and compare, okay? So what we're going to do is just minimize everything, and I'm going to bring up Visual Studio. That's not a command. Stroke. All right, so let's see. We're going to go back to VCBat. And so we're going to go to VC test. Okay, so watch this, right? So dev-in, if you have like Visual Studio in the path, this is the command that will actually launch it. And what I'm going to do is just like launch the solution. Watch this. Did you see how long that took to load one fucking file? And so I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna say rebuild, like just basically delete all of my binaries and just build this, right? Okay, so it took a second to build, whatever, and now I'm gonna launch it. Was that fast? Relatively, right? But did you see, like, every time I did something, it was basically loading the spinner? So let's do a little contrast to compare, okay? Here is Remedy, and be careful, because if you blink, you're gonna miss it. Did you catch that? It was instant. One file is nothing. Like, this is nothing. And it's one file with 13 lines in it. And so now I want to debug my program. Watch this. It was instantly stepping into it. Instant. The latency in Visual Studio is absolutely unacceptable. And that's one reason why I'm doing this. Because notice how long that took for just a simple main function. Like, this is the equivalent of, like, Hello World, where there's a simple file that was like, here's my entry point to the application. I just want to make sure my workspace and compiler settings are fine, and they were. But I work with multi-million line code bases every day. Every day. Having to deal with that on top of Visual Studio's sluggishness is unbearable. And especially when I have to, like, download a project that hasn't been used in a while, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't fucking work. Like, it doesn't build at all for whatever reason. So, that is one reason I'm doing what I'm doing. That was a long roundabout way of just saying Visual Studio sucks. And so what I am trying to do and I will bring it up again. So we're gonna go back, and we're gonna code. So I think it's like .VC proj. Yeah. And then we have the build. We don't need these. So what I'm doing, what VCBat is a tool that converts this to this, basically. What we have on the left is Visual Studio's project settings. What we have on the right is this is what Visual Studio has to look at every time it builds something. It is looking at your project settings to determine what it needs to pass to the compiler and the linker. This is just telling the compiler and linker exactly what I want at that given moment. Do this. And it is very fast, just compared to Visual Studio. Well, I guess building it is relatively the same right now, just because like Visual Studio basically has to load nothing into the compiler. But still you have to deal with the sluggishness of loading a project anytime you launch it. And that was the best case scenario because I had recently used Visual Studio, so like it was like Windows has cached it, basically, I would think, where it's like, okay, you're probably we're gonna keep this basically all this program data hot in case you want to reload it again. So which I did, and it was still sluggish. So this is what I'm trying to do, where you just navigate to a Visual Studio project, just launch the tool on this file, and it'll automatically convert it to a batch file. And then you can just build it from anything you want. So I'm going to take a brief moment from coding and see if anybody is saying anything in the chat. Nope, that's okay. So I'm just going to keep on trucking. And what we're going to do now is we are going to start looking at the specifications for the like VCX proj. So because what we need to do is we're essentially writing an XML parser. Well, let me back up. I don't want to write an XML parser from scratch. If there's one that's already efficient and respectable, we can just use that. So this is not... Oh, sorry, excuse me. This is not something that I want to reinvent the wheel on. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to download a like a library that parses XML and just retrofit it to our needs. So, is there something that already does this? There's one that is already done in Python, but we're doing this in C++. Let's see. C#. Oops. There you go. Okay, we're good. Nope. I guess we're just gonna be doing this. So, we just gotta look at the classic RTFM. Read the fucking manual. So this is the MSDN. This is the official like documentation that Microsoft has. Excuse me. So and there's going to be a little bit of dead air, I guess, while I look at this. But I would prefer that we go ahead and just find whatever the like, we can start by looking for an XML parser to download and use in our project. So let's see, XML parser in C. Like, this is what I spend a lot of my time doing, is just looking for stuff. This looks relatively straightforward to use. So you basically just have a char buffer, and what you do is you just parse the document, and yeah, that's basically it. And it will return pointers to the to like the nodes and stuff. So let's say if I want to just navigate the entire tree, like, what would I have to do? Yeah, it looks fairly straightforward. I don't think it's going to be all that cumbersome to interface with. Seven contributors. Yeah, I think this should be pretty good. So let's see, example. Okay, this is the one we were just looking at, I think. But we can just look inside our debugger and see if there's anything that can help with that. Like, just kind of like, I want to like see if there's a way to navigate it like a tree structure, you know? So it's just two simple files. So what we're going to do is I am just going to copy all of this to, what's it called? XMLC. That's fine. So we'll just say, new folder, XMLC, and then we'll create those files, XML.c, and then XMLC.h. You know what? We're going to compile it with C++. Can we do that? And like, it's not necessary to do like file extensions like I'm doing. Like, if you're doing like naming something HPP versus H, I just like to differentiate between C and C++, because while there's a lot of overlap in like the base language, C does have some features that are not supported by C++, like with struct initialization and auto casting from void to a structure. Like, C++ doesn't do that. So there are some things to be aware of. So we are going to go back to this. And we're just going to copy all of it. Right? And if there's any build errors, we'll just try to fix them and move on quickly, because I'm not going to be doing this in straight C. In the header file, Alright, so all we need to do now is just also include that .cpp file right there, and we should be good. So what we're going to do is we already have our... Do we have our dependencies linked? Yes, we do. So what we're going to do is just say include XML C and just include that CPP file, and let's see if it works. Yep, I mean, it looks like it worked. So we are just going to copy that example in and go from there. So if we just go back to here, we have these examples, and what I'm going to do first is I'm going to bring in some types. And this is just going to be called VCBat.hp, right? And let's see, def, let's see, VCBat, HTTP. We will just say and then okay. And so we can just very quickly, again, I'm just going to steal from my possum library, and let's see, I closed the repo again. Let's see. I've got like a types that I like to include for stuff like this. And it's just simple redefinitions of like really basic types. And if there's any references to possum, we'll just say we went to match case. No results. Okay, so it's literally just there in the asserts. So we'll just say that we replace that with VCBat. Right? And so now everything should be all squared up properly. I can be a little bit OCD about my declarations here, but so we're good with that, and I am not going to read warnings at all. I'm just going to do it live. Fuck it. Alright, so let's go back to this, and I'm going to ZenNote here, because that's just so much easier to look at. Let's go back here, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab just basically this example here and parse the document and just see how that works. Because I want to know what the actual, like, what does this thing look like in memory when it's parsed, right? So we've got that. I'm going to kind of align things so it's easier for me to look at. So the root is, you've got this root tag, and you've got this one and that. This is an example. Oh, how cute. So does it allow you to get stuff by hand? Like if I want to say, give me the node with the name that. Let's see. Well, let's just take a look. Parse XML document. Yeah, that's fairly straightforward. Let's just see what we got. So far everything's looking good. let's go to our handy dandy debugger. And why are you not there? Where are you? VC2. Oh shit! I I plugged this into VC test, so not the other one. Here, we'll just do that, and we will put that in VCBat. 32 right there. This is what we want, right there. Yeah, that's what we want. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Why are you breaking? Oh, I guess I didn't copy the entire header or something. That's an easy fix. We can just go back and say, where are you? Okay. Right here. We'll just copy that. Go back and do this. Silly me. Oh my god. Implicit casts. So, yeah, that's... I'm not gonna fix all these. This is stupid. Cannot cast from void to XML attribute. See, that's where it's doing the... Like what I said, it doesn't support implicit casting. That's what I was talking about. So, let's see if there's a like a C++ version of this. XML. I hate this. Like, whatever, dude. I don't really care. That's it? Okay. Config. Okay, so... oh, this is nice. So I was a bit concerned about, like, why I looked it up in C is because I kind of wanted to avoid all, like, the C++ ick. But they do it for you, in this one where they actually disable the ick. So, like, they'll disable, like, the standard template library, which is STL, and they'll, turn exceptions off, which is fantastic. I'm like, okay, kudos to you, my man. But it's like, it's something that we can fine-tune, which I have a lot of respect for. So, yes, we will just plug that in. So this is... That's what it's called. So, I'm just going to add that to the dependencies. I could be using, like, do some, like, package manager that I could be using, but I figured, like, I didn't have it downloaded, so, we want to move that to dependencies. Yes, do that. We don't need this anymore. Yeah, it's really great when, they were outright like, yeah, we'll give you a method to turn off, like, support for the standard template library. I thought that was pretty great. So standard template library is like stuff that includes, like, vectors and maps and other containers of stuff. And I don't really use templates because they just don't I mean, I use them at work sometimes, but just like in my personal stuff that I do, I don't use it at all, just because it doesn't solve the problems that I need to solve. I just don't use it. Okay, so we're going to go into VCBat, dependencies, that, download the header file, and go here, download the source file. Yep. And then download the config. Okay. 2003? This work is based on the which is oh wow, a long time ago. And I think this just proves that the best APIs that have withstood the test of time, and this is a quote from Mike Acton. I'm just like reaffirming what he said. It's like simple data in, data out APIs are the ones that withstand the test of time, and those are the ones that you want to be using. So I've never used this before, but we'll figure it out. Am I still streaming? I think I'm streaming. Let's see. Let's take it a little stretch break. I don't like that they are disabling warnings. It's like warnings exist for a reason. That's one of the powers of 10 rules in like how NASA JPL writes code. The proper way, or at least the way that JPL does it, is when they compile things, they turn the compilers on to their most pedantic settings possible. They're like, every possible warning we want to enable and see if anything goes wrong. So basically, they treat warnings as errors, essentially, and they deal with all warnings. But one way to get around that is to just like don't use the standard template library and a lot of the other like features that are enabled in or that come with C++ by default. So we're gonna go back to here, and we're not gonna do that. We don't need VC tests anymore. We're gonna get rid of this because it's not in our project anymore. And we should just have that. So we can just do a new include and just say config HTTP. No, we need the actual like C++. Okay. Build. Fatal. Cannot open. Why not? Oh, probably because I need to. It's right there. Why can you not open it? Let's see. Let's go to my build 132. I am including dependencies. Maybe my current working directory? No. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, it's able to, like, the compiler is able to pick up the source file, so why can't it pick that up? It's right there. VCBat. Let's just close everything. Okay, close it. Clean slate. Okay. Lib32.cpp, and we'll say include VC. No, we want to include dependencies that and CP. It's right there. I don't know why I can't build it. Well, this is silly. Welcome to coding in real life, because this is what I do all the time. It's just like, why is it not working? Oh, that's why. I do not know why it can't find it. Well, one thing I could do is just try to include it from, well, because I'm also doing that, so why don't we try VCBat with 32.h like that. So we can just say, just try to include shit this way. But yes, as Huge State pointed out, good old Windows. Okay, and so what we can do is say, I want to include the types, which is in that, and then say, I want to include, let's just try this. We'll just say, UGXML dot HPP. Yeah. And that's dependency, so I like to wrap it in the greater than less than. So it's like how I like to do things. If it's a dependency, like if it's external to the project, I like to, oops, I switched my desktop. If it's external to the project, I like to do this. If it's internal to the project, I like to do that. So, we'll just do that. And we also want to say include windows.h. And we can also say define Windows lean and mean. But let's see, define Windows lean and mean, and it's something like yeah, reduces the size of the Win32 header files by just removing a bunch of stuff, which I think we can use here. like it said, it just kind of reduces the size of our shit. So, let's see, and we'll just say include VCBat 132. Yep. Yep. It was able to build that, but I don't know why it wasn't able to build the source file. Let's see. Now, can you do it now? Because we have to include it, and I think I'm about to answer my question again, just like read the fucking manual. Let's see, no, let's see. Okay, we got it, but now we're having some problems. I guess we need to remove that then. I guess Windows lean and mean was a problem after all. What the fuck? Why are you angry with me? I didn't do anything to you. I have done nothing to you. Why are you angry? Oh, because I'm including it still? No. What the fuck did I do? Exception handler used. Let's go into config and see what we got going on here. Okay, this is getting way out of hand. I am far afield from what I originally wanted to be doing, and that is just writing a parser for VC Barrage. Yeah, and then just including all of that shit is where things kind of get kind of sweaty. Yeah, so I don't understand. You know what? I'm just gonna turn everything off. Okay? How about that? I want you to be compact. I don't know what that is, but I don't need it. I don't want STL, and I don't want exceptions. How about that? Much better. It's like, you want to deal with, like, warnings and shit, just disable, like, all the C++ features, you know? So, But it was really cool that they were able to do that. So, let's see. Include that. Can I do define the node? Is it like 132 lean and mean or something? Yeah. Is it still happy or is it sad? No, it's fine. Okay, so we've defined that, and then we can include our types file again, or like our main header. VCBat, right? And I think we're good. There. Okay, we're gold. We're ready to rock. Like I said, this tool is probably not... I doubt it'll be finished tonight, and just me talking, I'm taking more time than I normally would, but that's nobody's fault but mine. I'm just slow, right? So what I can do here is I like to do, like, this is not necessary, it's just something I like to do. I like to say, this, basically, I'm gonna say VCBat, with 32 main, and you know what, this can just be simplified as 132, right? And we'll just go to our, bat file and say it's just gonna be 132, right? So we can, define that as this. Okay. And just go here and replace this with that and say this is a internal S32 function, and that should work. Yep. So now we can actually start doing some XML parsing. So let's go ahead and go back to the GitHub for that project and see if there's any like examples, like tests. Yeah. Ooh, they have a custom allocator. I like it. Anyway. Or what? Just example. Do they have examples? There's the quick start guide. Load file. See, the thing I'm worried about is, does it actually have to be a .xml file? But let's just go ahead and get going. So I like to do things in such a way that my dependencies are wrapped, which means that if I wanted to swap this library out for another one, I can. But we're just trying to get started here. So this is what I'm gonna do, okay? So we're gonna do that. Okay. We're gonna do things properly according to how its documentation says it should be done, and that's what we're gonna do. Right. I'm just kind of going in here. YPS assigned as super default. We've got doc, we've got the parse result, and it is going to be relative to the bin folder, so it is going to be inside of basically VC test. It is going to be inside VC test. VC test. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to be going back up. Yeah, going basically back up a directory out of bin into VC test, VC test, and it will be this one right here. That's what I want it to load. But it may not work because it's not a XML file, but we'll see. Auto detector, impl, open file. Implicit cast. I fucking hate C++ so much. C is so much better. Like, at least the syntax, because it actually just makes sense. But we're just gonna see what happens. Right? Alright, now let's go to our handy dandy debugger, and we are gonna open... let's go back, source 132, right here. Right? And then doop, doop, doop. Okay, what's the results? Status is... I don't know if that's okay. Oh, so status is okay. So what comes next? Oh, I need to look at doc, not the result. So what I can do is just say go here and start looking at doc, right? That's looking promising. There's actually stuff in memory. So let's actually look and see what we got inside of our, like inside of the... Yep. That's it. We got it. So, we've definitely are loading this in. So first child would be, yeah, it's just basically loading buffers in, essentially. Great, so we're actually loading it. But, what I want is a way to, like, I need to basically predefine, all the shit that I need to be looking for, you know? So, which would basically be here. So, it's possible my synthwave... Wow, have I been streaming for 2 hours already? Let's bring up DMCA free synthwave again. I'll just keep going until I kind of hit a sane end. I've been doing this for a bit. So I kind of mostly just wanted to get started and just kind of show people how I do things. So we've got a couple things to consider. Let's see, the file elements. You can inspect by doing this. Most of the property groups and item definition groups occur after the import. For CVP props, all targets are imported at the end of the file. There are multiple property groups, and each with a unique label. So, property, let's see. So, the order of elements is vitally important. Everything's sequential. If there are multiple definitions, the last one is going to override. Okay, we don't need to worry too much about that. Or do we? Yeah, I guess we should. Let's see. So any VCX project generated by Visual Studio will contain these top-level MS build elements. Default targets build, and it's like, this is what we're going to be looking for, right? So let's go ahead and just kind of put our stuff side by side, and we will just kind of see what we got going on. Like that. And we'll bring up the MSDN and see what we got going on. So the default targets build, let's see. Is there like a default targets? Yeah, it's the root node. Item group label, project configs. So everything is in an item group, basically. So these right here, this property group for, like, these are build configurations, whereas, like, you can specify if it's like a debug or a release build and which platform you're targeting for that particular build. I don't know if we want to consider that right now. It's basically just compiler flags at the moment. I mean, it's not going to tell you what compiler flags are here. So cl compile is kind of something to be looking for as well. 6 of 9. Yes. So these are the ones that I guess which platform you'd be targeting. And so there's a couple of stages that happen when there's like a compilation. So let me bring up the whiteboard again. So like we're gonna say MSVC compilation steps. Okay. So basically, you've got the first thing that happens is, and I don't know if I'm right, but I think I'm like 90% right. So like, these are at least steps that happen. I may have the numbers wrong, but you're going to have the preprocessor. You're going to have the linker. And then you're actually going to have, like, compilation. Sorry. Oops. So when I say this, usually I mean all of this, basically. So what essentially happens is you have a preprocessor that fires off, and what it's doing is it's basically looking for... I don't know, I guess my pets are doing something crazy, but or my daughter. So basically what the preprocessor does is it looks in your source code for anything with that symbol. So if a line begins with the pound or hashtag or however you want to say it, and usually you see things like pound define or pound include. These are macros. So what they do is they are things that are modified when the preprocessor fires. So, like for one, this pound define is essentially a macro where it's basically doing search and replace, right? And so this pound include basically just says take all the source files and then just like include them in this compilation unit. So it's basically just like the preprocessor is looking through those source files and determining if anything needs to be like modified in the source. Do I need to like search and replace things? Did the programmer do any sort of like shorthand type stuff? What are the files that need to be included, and what is there any like macro logic? Like macro logic would be something like this. So like I say, if this is I basically, if this is defined, then I want this to be defined. But if it's this that's defined, I want this to be defined. So basically, I'm looking for the, is there any type of flag that is specific to that compiler? And I only want to use source that compiler supports. So, that would be like macro logic. So then what happens next is, after the preprocessor has done its thing, then the linker is going to fire. And the linker is the thing that is looking for like .lib files, basically. So you have external binaries that are being linked against this project. It is going to basically pull those into basically do its thing and pull all of that stuff in to link against your project. And then there's the compilation step, which it ties everything together. So it's like we've processed the files, we have linked against external dependencies. Now we're going to generate the binaries, and there's a bunch of stuff that happens here. Like there's the assembler, and then there's like everything else that runs. There's other steps. But the ones that we can control, the ones that we're going to be doing, are like right here. So, and what you see inside of this, let's see, preprocessor definitions. This is like things that are passed into the compiler to tell it, like, I want these flags to be enabled inside of the preprocessor. And so the preprocessor may not know what that is, but there's a source file that may be using some type of macro logic that this could, apply to. And so then it's like, there's this thing wasn't defined, but it was defined at compile time. And so now macro logic can apply. So this right here, the link, that is the thing that's we're actually going to be saying to link stuff together. So there are going to be some things that we want to just start defining that will allow us to reason about things that are going on, right? So we can just start doing that right away because we know we're going to be dealing with that. So we don't necessarily know what that's going to look like, but we can start. So we're going to have this on one side, and we're going to have a, let's see, how do I want to define that? So I guess we could say VCBat. Arguments or something, maybe? we could just say, I'm just going to call it CL for now. Okay? Because that's essentially what we're calling. And I'm just going to do this. And I'm just going to say VCBat cl.exe and let's see. Pounds. I'm just going to say if and def define, and so these are examples of like macro logic right here. So basically what I can do is I don't want a header file to be included twice in a compilation unit. That can be a circular inclusion. So what this does is it's a protection to basically say if anywhere in this code this isn't defined, we're going to define it. And it's just basically a protection against... This is just what I do. I don't always have, like, a very good reason for things. I'm not the best programmer. I try to be. So here's what we're going to do. So we're just going to define a simple struct, and it's going to represent the name of this file, right? So I'm just going to say struct VCBat, VCBat. Is that how I want to say that? VCBat CL. Right? Just something like that. And I've got other things that I want to do. So we are going to include VCBat.hpp, and I don't know why that's not happy, but it's not. And we're gonna say that we're also gonna have VCBat CL source, which is the thing that's actually passed in to CL to compile. So if you go down here to, you know what? Let's just say we're gonna say compile. We're gonna separate it out into those stages, you know, and we can say struct preprocessor. Oh, stuck. That's why it's not happy. Yeah. There we go. VCBat CL preprocessor. Compiler. And struct VCBat CL, and that'll be called linker, right? And I don't know what we're calling in here. We could just put in a simple count. We could just say args count, and we could just, you know, say that. Right? And so then, that's a very simple, like, series of things we can do to get started. Right? And so... And what we can do is just say, preprocessor. And, that's done there. And then that's the linker. And then that's the compiler. Right? And so the compiler is the one that's going to be taking a bunch of the flags. But we want to basically make a list of all of the things that can be passed into the compiler. and sift through this source file over here, not the source file, but the project file, and just basically pull those out, you know? So that's what we want to do. Oh, tired. We went to the zoo today, so we did a whole lot of walking around. Zoo, if you want some good exercise, go to a zoo. Make sure it's a respectable zoo, though, where they treat their critters good. So, I think the logical next step here would be to start looking up the compiler flags. Because how I was looking at this originally was like, we want to look through the VCX proj file, and then we want to determine what settings that is. Instead, what I think the better way to do this is like we want to look up the documentation for the cl.exe, right? So cl.exe, I could just go like this, right? And so you have options, file name, and then link, right? So what I could do is just say, is there a cl like question mark or cl like help? Not necessarily. So what we could do is just start looking up the documentation for that. I think that is going to be a decent next step. So msdn cl.exe arguments. So, command line syntax. I think this is it. No. What I want to know is, yeah, compiler options. There we go. So for the compiler options, all compiler options are case sensitive. Let's see. Use the MSVC toolset from the command line for the Visual Studio Developer command prompt. You cannot start it from a system command prompt or from File Explorer. Let's see. Because what we want to do is basically sift through what are the primary options that we care about. And, like, this is really extensive. Here we go. Options listed automatically. Yes. So, here we go. This is it. This is what we need to thoroughly document in basically the header file for cl.exe. But, like, you know, this is it. But the thing is, we don't necessarily have to... it's like we don't necessarily need to know how all of this works. We just need to know that it exists, and there is something that basically ties it back. Like, there is something inside of the this file right here. Like, let me go ahead and close this. There is something in this file that should correlate with this, right? So we basically say that we have a definition for all of these things, right? And it could be inside of a switch statement, and we say, oh, if this like item group item group compile SDL check, if that's set to true, then it corresponds with something over here, and then we just insert that into our script, basically. Like, for instance, this would just be a source file. And one thing that really pisses me off about, like, the source file listings is, I think that cl.exe will take, like, all the files or something like that, or, like, Visual Studio will try to do that. It's doing a lot of unnecessary shit that it doesn't have to do when it's compiling your program. So, yeah. It all circles back to basically Visual Studio sucks, and it makes really stupid-ass decisions that we want to get away from. We don't want to be forced into a context where we have to use it. Let me check on the chat here and see if anybody has anything to say. Do we have anybody who wants to say something? Let's see. But that's okay. This was a kind of a last-minute stream, but if I want to just kind of start defining stuff, I could start here, right? So this is a ton of information. We can also look at the properties, and you can also kind of get an idea of here's the configuration properties, right? And so things that you do in here are going to start modifying your VC project file. Like, this is how it defines stuff. So, yes, right here. This is, I may have just shot myself in the foot here because, sorry, that was loud and obnoxious. So, what it looks like this is doing is these are literally the command line arguments, and that may not have been necessary. Let's see. But yeah, this is essentially what it's doing. Like, I'm just kind of looking in here, so VC test. It's taking all of my stuff. I mean, that is pretty cool. Like, it's actually taking that, but I don't see my reference, like a reference to my source file. And if I change this to release, no, I don't want to save that. So it's slightly different that you can see up here. Let's see, is there already a tool that does this? Because I will have gone through all of this just to see that there's a tool that does it already. But I mean, like, this is part of it, you know? I'm still having fun. Let's see, xproj to command. Like, it doesn't look like there is. Yeah, no, this is irrelevant. So, we at least have something that we can check against. So there is a source of truth, which that's what I usually like to say when there is, like, you know, it's unknown what exactly I'm doing, but I have something to check against. So uh let's see. And I honestly think that that's a good place to end it for today. Because, like, all of these command line options are things that are going to be produced by Visual Studio. Like, they're things that affect the like how it compiles. Like, all of this stuff. Like, if I go to C++ and then go to command line, this is stuff that is being passed to cl.exe. So, like, if I go to active debug and yeah, active win32, I don't know why my source file is not in here. Let's see, command line. Yeah, here's the linker. And yeah, my daughter's very unhappy right now, and I think she needs her daddy to take care of her and stop dinking around on this tool. But that is going to be the stream for today. If you either stepped in or are watching this at another time, I appreciate you, and I will see you in another video.